Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's Festival of Enterprise Bounce Back webinar. My name's Kasim, and I am the Partnerships Director here at the Festival of Enterprise. Just filling in for your usual host, Alex. Today, we have got a special webinar from Juan Pablo, co-founder and CEO of Technogi. So JP is an IT specialist with over 15 years experience in the industry. He's dedicated to helping companies to assimilate technology efficiency for the benefit of both the business and its customers. So by focusing on listening carefully to customers' needs, JP has been able to help organizations transform their ideas into working solutions, enabling them cost optimization and business growth. Now, today's webinar is going to be really interesting because JP is going to be going through your next big digital idea and how to make that possible. And he's going to be going through 5 principles to create a software success project. So if you are looking to start up your own project, if you are looking to get involved in the tech sector and you want to launch your new tech business, JP is going to be telling you all how to do it. And if you've got any specific questions about JP's presentation, please do put them in the chat box and JP can go through them after his presentation and we can have a bit of a discussion about, more information that people want to know more about. So without any more interruption from myself, I'm going to hand over to JP. JP, welcome.
Hi. Hello, Kasim. Thank you very much.
Fire away, JP.
Excellent. Thank you very much to everyone. As Kasim told you, I'm Juan Pablo de la Rosa. You can call me JP for short. This is way easier. So I wanted to talk about, as Kasim said, about the 5 principles for a successful digital project. First off, I would like to introduce Technogi. Technogi is the company I represent, and we are specialists in software development, specifically on mobile applications, web applications, and cloud. And we focus a lot on listening and making tailor-made solutions to enable technology to accelerate business. We also provide staff augmentation and managed services. And we have a convenient cost optimization because we have both presence in the UK and Mexico, so that makes a much more efficient operation, and we can get a pretty good deals about it. Entering into the presentation, this is the agenda for today. We are going to review the 5 principles for a successful project. After that, we are going to share some final thoughts that are important for you to take into account once you want to go and start your idea. And we will finalize with a Q&A session. So please feel free to shoot any question you may have. First off, I wanted to share that the principles that make a successful software project, although these principles that we are going to review today apply for any kind of software development project, it is more focused on one of these ones that you are seeing in the screen. We normally have 2 types. One is for the projects that are done for the company. That means that are projects that are for internal use, for cost savings, enhancement of operations or logistics. And the other type of projects is regarding the projects that are from the company to the customer, right? It is facing final customers, and those kind of projects are more on the digital side, such as sales, customer engagement, e-commerce. And although the principles that we are going to review today apply to both types of projects, you will find it very useful for digital projects that face customers directly, because that's a much more vibrant and moving environment. So the principles will serve you well for that, although it may be useful also for internal projects, just to keep in mind. And this is a general overview of the 5 principles that we are going to review today. Of course, everything starts with your idea. Your idea is the essence of everything. And if you follow up, once you have an idea, if you follow up these 5 principles, you will have success on implementing it. Of course, it will take time to get to know it, but it will give you a lot of information, valuable hacks to actually get your idea out there into the market. And so we're starting with the first principle. It's called the mindset. The mindset is both has two areas. One is technical. So normally, when you start a digital project, you have to start thinking that you may be becoming a technology company. If you do, you own a coffee shop, you own a textile industry or a factory. If you go digital, you will start to become an IT company as well. So you have to start shifting your mind towards that, because it's very important to engage correctly with a digital project. You will have to understand how technology can accelerate your internal processes or your sales processes or the product that you already sell somehow. Technology is going to completely accelerate that. So you have to start learning about it, getting the feeling on how that is going to actually impact your business. It's going to create a digital transformation for your organization. And for this regard, for you to know how this is going to impact your organization and how is it working for all other organizations that are already into that, I would recommend to read a book that is called Exponential Organizations that will open up your mind into this. You will see the benefits of actually going and use technology. But you have to start thinking on this regard. And this book is going to help you to do just that. The other part of the mindset has to do with adaptation and change. This is crucial because once you go digital with any kind of project, change is going to be inevitable, and you will have to be adapting time after time after time. This is a never-ending cycle. So you have to start your idea with that in mind, because software projects are not finite projects, right? And it's going to be always moving. And to get you into the right mindset for the change management of your project, I would suggest to take a look on two concepts: quick wins and fail fast. Quick wins refers to get, as the name says, quick wins. Do some small actions, take small actions to get a little win at least. And from those wins, you will start to build confidence and build a better product and build better engagement. So you have to aim to quick wins, not waiting a long period of time or hitting and creating a silver bullet product. It won't work. You have to aim for quick wins so that you can see if it's working, keep going that way. And the other methodology or concept is fail fast. Also, not all the ideas that you're going to have are successful or are based on good assumptions. Sometimes we may get assumptions wrong, but the idea is to realize that as fast as you can, because if you are failing or doing something wrong, you may be aware early in the process rather than later, because it will cost you much more. So fail fast will help you to do just that. And for this mindset, I suggest readings about agile development, agile methodologies, not only focused on software, but in general. Agile principles apply to many things in life. So that will get you in the right mindset. Also read about Scrum and design thinking. Those kind of methodologies and practices will help you to get into the right mindset to start your digital project. The second one is a very important one. And the budget is not just about money, it's about resources, right? People, your time, and of course, money. And I wanted to share this image because it states how normally we think on budgeting a software project or a project overall. We normally think that, okay, I will budget I want to build this product, and I want I know it's going to cost X amount, and I will take it into the final line. So you start developing, and until you develop all the product, the 100% of the product, you get it out into the market. But when you do that in digital projects, it's just the beginning. You will still have to develop enhancements and adaptations based on all the conditions that are changing in the environment. As I told you before, in the mindset, you have to enter into the budgeting as well with the right mindset. You know, you are not going to budget just for one product. You are going to budget for the long run. So that's a key part. What you should look or aim to in terms of budgeting is you will aim to budget the 10% of your project, and then you will keep money in your pocket to keep going into the process, and you will start developing incrementally your product so that you can provide value based on the information that you will have from the ecosystem, your customers, your partners, and all, even competitors. But this is a key part for the budget. You have to reserve and be subtle with the budgeting. And as a summary, these are some key points that you should take into account. First of all, avoid using all your budget in the first version, because that's going to make you try to push your product into the market rather than see how it fits the market and adapt to it. So avoid doing that. Also, do not focus on creating a shiny product. Normally, we think that we want to create the best product out there because there are so many competitors that we have to compete with. But if you focus that way, you will end up spending all your budget. So that's another key point. Do not focus on creating that one. We will see later on the presentation how we can create a product without focusing on this. Also, focus on continuous budget. That's a key concept, because you will have to start to be giving constant flow to your project so that it keeps moving, it keeps adapting to the ever-changing conditions. So it's a continuous budget. And the most important part is it doesn't matter if it's a very big budget or a small project. The key part is for it to be continuous. That's what you need to do and to plan for. And these are some activities that you will need the budget for when you think about digital projects. Of course, the development of the project or the product, the infrastructure, that's the cost that you will have to spend to get your product out there, to have the right infrastructure. Also, we are going to see later on the presentation that there are very cost-effective ways to do that and to manage your budget. Also, a key part is marketing, either branding and also promoting your product, because that's the thing that is going to make your customers aware of your existence. And something that people many times miss is maintenance costs. Once you get there and once you are improving your product, you are going to have to maintain it because customers are going to start using it. You will find that you can enhance something. Some problems may arise from the early usage of the product, so you have to budget also for maintenance. But the general idea, as I told you, is to have in mind that it is going to be a constant flow. The third principle is regarding the actual MVP. The MVP is the essential, is your product, but it's a minimum version of your product. It is called minimum viable product. You may have heard about this concept a lot in recent years because it is becoming mainstream. And the key part of the minimum viable product is to keep it's a very essential version of whatever you think is the solution for the problem that you have in mind. So you have to take into account that it has to be viable. Whatever solution you want to do has to be possible to make it. It has to be usable once you take it into the market, although, as we saw before in the budget slide, that you are going to take a small version of it, it has to be usable. It has to solve the problem. It also has to be lovable. People have to like it, and also testable. You have to be able to test it and see if it is doing what it is intended to do. The key part of this is that is going to be delivered incrementally. So in this next slide, sometimes or many times when we start a project, we think on an idea, and we start. It is right over here at the bottom right. When you start thinking on your idea, you have perfectly identified how to solve a problem. And perhaps you think about something complementary to solve it. And then you start to think on new features. And every day you wake up and you think on a new one. You speak to someone and you think on a new one. And you start thinking that all those features should be part of your product in the first version. So this way of thinking will lead us to create a budget for a shiny product, right? And this is not the way to do an MVP, because you will finish up all your budget, you will take too much time to get it into the market, and you will not be able to respond to change. So that's why an MVP should be a very essential version. Your idea, coated perhaps by some features that are important, does not solve the problem. The problem is solved by your idea, but you may integrate some features that will allow for user experience to happen and make it lovable. But if you saw the previous slide, if you have 20, 50 features, just focus in a couple of them so that you can speed up all the process. You can get your project out there, test it into the market, and if something goes wrong, aka the fail fast methodology I explained at the beginning, you change it. And if something is going well, you enhance it and go that route. You are going to be making informed decisions on how to keep going. So this is the fundamental part of defining a good MVP. Of course, this topic is we could dig into this topic for hours. This is not the idea for today, but I recommend that you take a look on many resources you will find out there. And there is a particular good resource that we use in our consultancy. I will share at the end of the presentation the particular link to this course. You will find it in Udemy, and it is called UX Web Design Master Course. This course, although I don't think they mention MVP, but it is the best resource that you can find out there, so that you can start going from your idea, filtering all the things that does not work, and getting into your MVP. So this course will give you a lot of value. So take a look on that. So that's for MVP. The other very important part, the fourth principle, is technology and people. Once we have the mindset, once we have we know how to budget, we know how to develop our product, or what should be developed in terms of functionality, we come to technology and people. Technology is the vehicle that actually is going to make it happen, and the people is the people that is going to actually do the work. So it's a technical and human aspect for this principle. The technology refers to, technology is all the tools that you will find, programming languages, third-party software, infrastructure, tools, everything that is going to help your product to be completed technically. And for this, I have several recommendations. You have to, of course, when you start getting into the mindset, you will find out a lot of technologies, a lot of concepts that if you double click on that, you will start going deeper and deeper. You will start learning about trends and languages and providers that will be necessary for this part of the principles when you speak about technology. Something to take into account is focus on mainstream technologies, at least for the first versions of your product, because that will give you flexibility to find a lot of providers, a lot of people that may be interested or have the skills to work on that technology. Also look for providers that will take you from zero to world class. This particularly statement refers to cloud providers, because cloud providers and application marketplaces, because those kind of providers will give you the foundation that years ago was not existent. Now you can start a project with very little effort, with the right guidance, but with very little effort. And you can have applications up and running with ease. And also budget will take care of your budget, because these models are pay as you go. You start with very little money spent on infrastructure and technology, and you will be paying more and more as you grow. But if you grow, it means that your business is doing good, and then you can afford better solutions. So focus on this. Also, many of these providers offer free tier and special benefits. Free tier, you will find it once you start looking for information. That is some period that is free. It may be 1 year, up to 1 year, 3 months, 6 months, that you will have for free, completely for free, all infrastructure, or at least the commonly costly infrastructure. You will have it for free. So that is going to be very useful for you when you are starting your project and getting to know all the process. And technology, it is a crucial part for actually allowing all the earlier process that we reviewed to be agile, to adapt fast, to make adjustments, to have low costs, to create an MVP and deliver incrementally. Technology is the vehicle to allow you to do that. So you have to take that into account when you select the technology, because there are technologies that does not work well with that methodology. A key point to identify which technology would be to quote and to get quotes with many other providers. There are many websites that you can find, like ecosystems of software developers, mobile application developers, and we are always very eager to share what we know and what we see about your project, and which are the technologies that can do well for your particular need. So take your time, get quotations, speak to people, so that you can get acquainted on technology. The other important part of this principle is the people. And the people is the part of the process that is going to create the actual software, right? And there are many options on this regard. You can do it yourself if you are skilled enough, or if you have time to generate those skills. You can find a partner, go to meetups, enter into webinars, and talk to people. There's a lot of people interested in shifting to technology, so they and creating digital businesses. So this should be good, a good ground to look for. Find a partner, hire someone, of course, if the budget allows that to happen. Hire someone, or get a provider, at least a provider that can lay the foundation for you to keep going. You can also get freelancers. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities in this regard about people. And something I would suggest is for you to look for partners in any of these cases, either option, that has had some sort of experience working with startups, because startups essentially live by these principles. They know everything is in a rush. You have to have quick wins in order to improve and build confidence to keep going. Resources are very limited. So if you work with people that already have experience on that regard, it will be very useful for your particular project. And the final principle is regarding the feedback and measurement. This is the glue to everything that we just saw. If you don't measure and you don't get feedback, you don't know where to head after you finalized your first version of the product. So you have to be able to measure everything that happens around your product. And it can be measured automatically using technology, or of course the common ways of doing this: speaking to people, testing it, making focus groups, making calls to clients to see how they're feeling, get reviews, read everything that is being said about your product. there's a lot of information that people share about your product for free, either if it's a congratulation or if it's a complaint. You are going to find out a lot of information out there once you get your product into the market. So this is very important. You have to have an ear to see what is being said about your product, and that is going to allow you to adjust, and that is going to allow you to fit your budget into some features that make sense to keep going that way. Or if you confirm through measurement and feedback that something is not being used, then you don't have to spend any more money on that. We've had a lot of cases in the past where we create a feature that it seems to be reasonably functional. It goes into the market, and then through measurement, we find out that particular screen or button or images are not even being seen, or nobody is clicking on them. So if you imagine, if you spend money developing that, and if you don't have the feedback, maybe if that is a good feature and you think it's worth keep investing on that, you will keep investing money. But the actual thing that is happening is that nobody is using it. So that is what you get if you measure correctly and you get feedback. You are going to optimize your budget and the overall process, because you don't have to maintain something that is not being used. And on the other hand, if you see that something is very usable and people is requesting new features, then they will let you know and you will work on that. And that way you know that your budget is put into where it creates the most value. So that's why it's so important to measure and get feedback in the early stages. And before going to questions, to the question session, I would like to leave you with this idea that will keep coming back to your head after we finished. And this is why we don't spend a lot of money. We don't create huge products at once. This is why we take our time to create a product, because there's something called the cone of uncertainty. This is the figure, and it states that at early stages you have huge uncertainty on how to take a decision. So imagine if at the beginning, when uncertainty is very high, you decide to invest a lot of money, or you decide to create a shiny product that will be a silver bullet for the market. If you decide that, you can miss by a factor of 4. So if there's something wrong about your assumptions to create that, it's going to end the journey there, and you won't have any money to keep going. So that's why we came up with smaller pieces of the process, smaller products, to start measuring the market and start to getting the feeling on if really our product is solving some problem. And if that's so, we are advancing in time, reducing uncertainty, and we are going to be able to make better decisions, spend less money, and be more effective. So those are the concepts I wanted to share. Now I open up for questions. Please shoot any questions you may have. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for that. That was really good, JP. Really some great insights into sort of setting up, not just a tech startup, but a startup in general. I've got one question here from Rodrigo, who is asking, how can I know if my project is something that I must develop internally or through an external provider?
Okay, so that would be like for the first type of project, right? The first thing, when you create a product for internal use, you already know what's aching on your business. So you already know, okay, I might get an enhancement on the production line or on my logistics systems, because I make everything on Excel. That's the key part. I think that the key part to realize that you need some sort of project, software development project for your business, is if Excel is being run over. So if Excel does not give you any more chances to managing information, you have to start thinking on CRMs, ERPs, on something like that. But not the common ERPs. You can develop some features that solves particular problems of your company. And on how to look for providers, that's a similar process on what you would do if it's a product for facing a customer. You have to identify what you need, make a list of the features that you think you need to solve, and you can go to some sites such as Clutch.com. It's a site where you will find a lot of providers. There's a catalog listed of types of projects. They do mobile applications, web applications, ERPs, CRMs, and you can find there and just ask for quotations on that regard, and you will get a lot of information so that you can start to see how much would it cost and so on, and then compare if that enhancement is worth it. Yeah, I would say so.
It's interesting you say that, because I think with a lot of tech projects, companies do think about whether they want to build something internally and then, or whether they're going to outsource it to someone else, or whether there's something on the shelf. What would be your recommendation to companies in terms of, deciding whether or not they should build internally, get someone to build something for them, or buy something off the shelf?
Okay, I guess it depends on how are you envisioning your company. If you are envisioning an actual digital transformation, if you see that as I said at the beginning, the technology is going to accelerate everything. So once you go and implement one change using technology, you will see the effect that has. Perhaps for the first part, if that's some small change in your company, start using something that is already existing. That would be wise. Perhaps for project management, we do a lot of that. There are a lot of products that serves, but sometimes the acceleration of that implementation creating your business will start making you think, okay, I need to do more of this, and sometimes the products that are off the shelf does not fit completely to your needs. So at that point, you may be thinking, okay, now that my company has the mindset of technology and how it can enhance the product or our company, then we can think of creating something ourselves. Now that we have the right mindset, we may have some skills developed on technology, and now we can look for a provider or even hiring someone because the company is already working with technology and experiencing how technology improves the operation. So I would say that would be a good route to go.
So if for instance, we've got a question here from Sam, who is a tech developer, and he finds it difficult sometimes where companies don't want to really embrace new technology, and they're always, I think from his question, it looks like he's talking about a lot of sort of older clients who are maybe technophobes, are scared of what technology is like. What sort of advice would you give to sort of people working in the tech sector who are creating tech products for businesses? What would be your advice in terms of how they go about selling those products and how they convince business owners specifically in terms of trying to get them to understand how the tech will help their business, as opposed to them being worried? I mean, we've talked about tech going wrong before we came on this webinar. We had a webinar earlier today which was supposed to launch, but Crowdcast was working, and people are very scared of tech not working as opposed to all the benefits that tech can do. So what would you sort of message be to those individuals really, and how can you support them?
Okay, there's like two parts of this problem. One is perhaps you should find a stakeholder within the company that can have a clearer mindset regarding technology. Sometimes there are people that already are trying to do some sort of development or have more information about technology and how they can benefit. So if you have time, you can dig into the organization and find that person. But on the other hand, you can also start talking to the person that is opposed to technology and use the quick win strategy. The quick win can have a lot of ways to use it. Quick win will, with very little effort, you will aim to have some impact in the organization, and that quick win could be the factor that makes decide or change the mind of the people that is opposed to technology. So try to do some, for instance, a proof of concept would do fine in that regard. If you choose the right technology and you identify a very specific problem, you can create a demo for them for free. You will later on charge it, and you can consider that to be your sales cost. And if you are an experienced tech developer, you can find a lot of information on the web that will give you the necessary tools to create a proof of concept. I talked about some infrastructures in Amazon and Heroku. They provide a lot of assistance for startup and credits for getting your idea into action. So you can use all that infrastructure to create a proof of concept for this person. And from there, you can show, okay, if we do this, we can create this, use it for a couple of months. Let's see how it goes. And you have now a seed in his organization. And on top of that, if you find the people that may be a change agent, you may have more luck on that. But it's a very common problem. It's a very common problem. I completely understand where that came from.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant, fantastic. So I've got another question here from Anthony, who's in Glasgow, and he's looking to start up a new tech business, and he's got an idea that he wants to do. He hasn't specified what the idea is. What he's asking is should he look to create a team of developers to make the software that he needs, or would it be worthwhile him going out to an agency and subcontracting the work out that way?
I would suggest to first go to the principles and see, okay, this is my MVP. Once you have the clarity of what do you want to do, try to shape it and keep it very simple. And when you do that, you can start getting quotes from providers. You can go and ask 5 providers specialized in. I don't know if perhaps you are going to create a mobile application. You are going to focus on the catalog of providers that do mobile applications. Send a quote for a top tier provider and look for other parts of the world, and also go to freelancers and get a feeling on how much would they charge to you if they do that, and then you can compare on the costs of having people. Having people have a problem in the UK that we have identified, and that's why we are trying to solve it. There's a lack of there's no much. There's a lot of talent, but there's also a lot of demand. So you experience as a startup problems getting the right talent, and there's a lot of rotation. So to protect you from having to invest too much time looking for your team, and then the team goes away or being too expensive, first analyze how's the market, how much would it cost in several options. If you go freelancing, if you go with an agency, and if you hire someone, my personal recommendation would be to get quotes. And if you find a company that is knowledgeable enough on startups, go with that, because they will lay down the foundation, and then from that, the company will be able to train people in your or help you generate skills for your own company, if that makes sense. Of course, if the whole company is digital, you are going to become an IT company over time. So in the long run, you may have internal people, but it's not necessary to have it right away. You can put to the test first your idea, put it into the market, see that it fits, and if it fits, then you start investing heavy money on that. Before that, you can make experiments.
Fantastic. I've got a question here from Sarah from Kent, who's, you know, really near to the end of her project now, and it's more of a mindset sort of thing, and she's asking, with lockdown, with not knowing what's happening, what's your advice to people with the whole coronavirus situation? How do they keep positive and keep going in terms of building a new tech business in this pandemic?
Okay, I think it's a very good way to go. It depends, of course, on the market that you are targeting. For instance, we experience here in Mexico some changes in, for instance, entertainment is being hit. And if you are aiming your product into entertainment, you will have tough times. But if you have identified a market that is selling and is thriving and is requesting solutions, go ahead. I think that now is the time to be out there, to be bold. We are managing, I will return a little bit in my presentation, the MVP. We have identified another type of MVP that is called MSP, Minimum Survival Product. So if you have an idea, that idea, test it quickly. If you are at the edge of finalizing it, put it through, get it into the market, test it. That could be your life saving if you are struggling. And in times of crisis, this sort of products could be the difference. And if you already made the investment, go ahead. If you haven't done the investment, create your project, test it, but with very little budget, so that you can test if it's all right and the market is a fit for your product. And also, I will suggest, if you don't have enough feedback built on your product, build that before going live, because you will need all the information to know if it's being successful and where to change things in order to make it successful.
Fantastic. I think that's really important. We've seen hospitality, certain sectors in lockdown around the world just literally fall to its knees. So, I think a lot of people who are creating tech and tech products for those sectors are probably really struggling right now, because especially if they're in the middle of their project, what would they do if they're, say for instance, you're creating a tech solution for the restaurant sector, what would your advice be to them? Should they just stop? Should they continue and wait, in the hope that the sector will return? Or, what would your advice be to them on that?
I would say, if your product was aimed to solve something that is no longer viable to solve that way, stop. That's perhaps if your software is intended for restaurants to have a more efficient way to assign tables, well, actually, that would be a good idea. Yeah, to assign tables. But I was thinking about the software in commercial places where there are food courts, where people get crowded. Perhaps if you can create a good idea down there. But going back into my main idea, if the reason you are creating a product is to solve something that is no longer solvable due to the new conditions, you have to rethink it. But if you are doing a product for restaurants, it means that you know how to work with restaurants. So open up your mind and start seeing what other options could you use to improve the restaurant industry. And now that you know how to work it, you can come up with other idea. And if you have the technology, or you are used to how to use it, go ahead. That would be my advice. But as I said before, if you are aiming to hospitality, as you said, Kasim, or entertainment, although there is a huge amount of enhancements to do in this new normality, focus on the things that you will have to do in the new normality, not before.
So are we saying that, there will be a massive change in the way hospitality is in the future, and actually if you are creating something that is for the hospitality industry pre-COVID, then actually you should stop and wait, maybe wait to see what the new normal is, and then refocus your energy on creating something that will solve a problem in the new normal, as opposed to something that was a
Exactly.
problem before. You don't know whether that's going to be a problem in the future.
Exactly, or even help shape the new normality for that industry. That would be the advice. If you know the industry and you know that the previous idea that you have is no longer viable, then help that industry shape that new normality, and your product could be the survival they were looking for, and even for you. Yeah.
Okay, I think we got another question. So there's one here about funding tech projects, and how do you structure your sort of funding throughout a project from start to finish? So for instance, if I was to launch a project today, say for instance, I wanted to create a piece of software, but you know there's one idea, but there's going to be loads of other things that spin off that project. How would you recommend pitching that to you know funding agencies, and how would you say, for instance, would you say start with one small project and then get the funding, get that making money, and then move on to the other projects afterwards? Or would you have that part of the bigger idea when you're going out to search for funding?
I think that the principles that we reviewed today will allow you to create some value with little effort and money. If you try to go fund your idea with being just an idea, it's going to be very difficult. You have to bring data, you have to bring some results, some quick wins accumulated, some lessons learned. And there's when the people with the money get interested if you show some kind of results. So right now, the message I want to give you is that it is easy in this time to create a product. If you have envisioned a way to solve something, start with a very basic option and product, and keep it through, get it into the market, and start measuring it. And with that being done, you can go and see if you can get further funding. Because prior to that, you can fund it yourself perfectly. You can find a partner. You can study yourself. It depends on the pressure that you have, or the time that you have. But you can study, get acquainted on the technology, and start doing a scratch, even a prototype. It doesn't have to be like the full product developing using technology. You can create a prototype using design thinking, and with that prototype you can go and test your idea, get some information, and with that information and having less uncertainty on how your product is going to be received into the market, you can go out to seek money, even if it's your parents, your friends, go to an incubator. If you are ahead on the process, go to accelerators. So yeah, but I think that the message would be get your hands dirty and start doing something to put it to the test. It's very easy right now.
Brilliant. I think that's all of the official questions that we sent in. I'm going to ask you a bit of a question that I've got, and it's something we've asked quite a few of our guests that have done webinars with us, and I'll put you on the spot a bit here. So if I was to write you a check for $1 million today, we've had another question come through, but I'll ask you this one first. If I was to give you a check for $1 million to run a tech project, what would that project be, and what would it involve?
I think education would be a good way to go, because there is a lot of room in this new normality. Education, I would probably say. And the thing with education is that it affects us all. So yeah, I would focus on that. I particularly have twin girls, and we have been struggling on how to get them ready for the new normality. And I think that's a place where I would put my money right now.
Brilliant. Thank you for that one. So we've just had another question come through from Steve. I'm looking for a development of tech company to work with me and Birmingham University on a communication system for disabled rail passengers. How would he research and find a good partner?
Okay, it sounds very niche, I think. It depends on the level of engagement that they want, that he wants with the partner, because if he will bring the knowledge of the business and they will be eager to train them, then he will be able to get a very high quality and highly skilled team of software developers that are perhaps not as knowledgeable on the topic that he wants to attend, but they will get it and they will help them. So I think at some point it's agnostic. You can use the route to find partners, agencies, and even freelancers or other students to get into that project, and then invest some time to train them into the particular business. And that is the way that all consultancies work. We ourselves work like that. We are not knowledgeable.
Okay. So I think the question is, how can you research, how do you find out if someone's a good partner for your project? What are the things you should be looking for in a partner when you're choosing a partner for a project?
First off, what is the problem to be solved, right? I would focus, we will have to understand what is the problem that is being solved. And on top of that, look for people that knows technology that can actually solve the problem. What I'm guessing is that he needs some sort of software for that problem. So in that regard, it doesn't matter that he can go the same route as to search for any other partner in general to see if the partner have good skills on software development, or perhaps he needs cloud and he has to look for cloud providers, or he needs some IoT solution. He has to go and look for partners in IoT. And once he has figured out which type of partner he will need for the project, he can then go to several marketplaces and such as clutch.co, or he can even go to Amazon Web Services to seek for partners that already know that kind of technology. And there he will find a lot of information about that. If he doesn't know which technology is going to have to be used for the problem, he has to open up the search, look for experts in software development or in processes. It depends on the stage and the particular problem.
So I think from his question, what he's saying is he's got the solution. What he's trying to do is, how does he, there's loads of software developers out there, and what he's trying to understand is what key things, like, are there any questions he should be asking people when he's having conversations with these software developers to really find out which ones are the good ones and which ones aren't the good?
Yeah, I think the mindset would be one of the key principles to look for that in the developers, because they need to know how to work with agile development, have the right mindset for doing software development, because you will find a lot of software developers that focus just on one thing and they don't see the full picture. So you have to look for people that has more vision, perhaps, and also go to the places where you may find people that knows how to work with the particular technology. Yeah, I don't know if I made it clearer this time.
Yeah, I think with Steve's question, there's quite a lot that happens in Birmingham specifically, and I think talking directly to yourself, Steve, I think there's lots happening with Birmingham Tech. There's a lot of tech events that you can go to, and I'd myself probably recommend going out, networking, going to different tech events, meeting different people from tech sector, and maybe, seeing what their thoughts are, and who they would recommend as well. So, maybe get
Yeah.
recommendations from other people that have used companies before that would be able to say, well, actually, this might be the best person for what you're looking for. Would you agree?
Yeah, sure. Um, Yeah, if perhaps sharing a little bit more on the particular problem, we can guide you into which kind of software developer at least you would need.
Yeah.
And as you said, it could be assisting to attending some events or getting into the right marketplaces to find that kind of talent.
Yeah. Steve, I'm sure JP will leave his email in the chat box, and you can maybe drop him an email to discuss it a bit more and maybe more specifically what you're looking for. And I think
Sure.
that is everything. Is there anything else you want to say, JP, before we finish?
No, thank you very much for your time. It was very nice to talk to you. I hope that you get through this difficult time and that this information is of value for you to do just that. And don't be afraid to grasp technology and use it as an accelerator for your life, for your business, or for your ideas, or for the neighbors. We need to do that in this time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, JP. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this afternoon's webinar. Don't forget to go on our website, www.festivaloventerprise.co.uk. Check out some of the other webinars we've got going on. Maybe watch back some of the old webinars we've had on. We're always here to help. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much.